Hey Lakers fans, let's dive into something that has been a recurring theme for this team over the last several seasons, and that's the notorious third-quarter slump. If you watched the recent matchup against the Golden State Warriors, you saw it unfold in real time. The Lakers started the game a bit rocky, found themselves trailing early, but managed to claw back, even taking the lead at certain points. Yet, despite all the effort to regain control, small mistakes and missed opportunities at crucial moments turned the tide against them. This pattern has been familiar for a while now. The team can react, make halftime adjustments, and show sparks of brilliance, but maintaining consistency after the break seems to be an ongoing struggle. Looking back over the last few years, this issue isn't new. Under Darvin Ham, the Lakers had similar inconsistencies, though they manifested differently depending on the season. There were stretches when the first halves were a nightmare and second halves were better, and other times when the reverse happened. Even when the Lakers played well at the start, they often couldn't sustain momentum, particularly in that critical third quarter. That problem carried into the playoffs, and it wasn't just about one game. It became a recurring pattern that exposed gaps in preparation, effort, and execution. The third quarter is crucial because it sets the tone for the rest of the game, and for the Lakers, it has often been a turning point in the wrong direction. Now, when analyzing this problem, it's important to consider the balance between coaching and personnel. Many fans immediately point to the head coach and question preparation, effort, or strategy. But the reality is more nuanced. Coaching can only go so far if the roster isn't built to handle the demands of the modern NBA. Look at any successful team over the last decade. They rely not just on coaching, but on players who can execute at a high level consistently. The Lakers have had great leaders and talented stars, but the overall mix of athleticism, defensive versatility, and consistency has often been lacking. You can have brilliant halftime adjustments, meticulous game plans, and creative rotations, but if your players struggle to maintain intensity, make fundamental mistakes, or lack speed and agility on both ends, those strategies only take you so far. This is particularly evident in defensive situations. The Lakers have had stretches where they were one of the top defensive teams in the league, even with players who weren't at peak defensive capability. But as soon as fatigue, mismatches, or athletic disadvantages come into play, their defense can crumble quickly. Transition defense has been a major area of concern for years. Teams that excel at pushing the pace, taking advantage of mismatches, and hitting threes in volume have consistently exposed the Lakers' lack of foot speed and lateral agility. This isn't a coaching flaw. It's a personnel issue. The roster simply hasn't had the depth of athleticism needed to consistently counter modern offenses that prioritize pace, spacing, and relentless transition opportunities. Even the best defensive schemes can't fully compensate for a lack of speed, agility, or rebounding ability. Offensively, the picture isn't much brighter. Key contributors have struggled with turnovers, poor shot selection, and inefficiency at critical moments. Even if a coach devises the perfect play, the execution still falls on the players. When Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, or other role players struggle to consistently create spacing, maintain composure, or hit their shots, the offense stagnates. The team can survive on the brilliance of stars like LeBron James or Luka Doncic, who can cover deficiencies and carry a heavy load, but relying on one or two superstars to consistently salvage games is not sustainable in the long term. Depth, balance, and complementary skill sets are essential. Looking at the Lakers' recent history, the pattern is clear. Coaching changes have come and gone, but certain issues persist. Under Frank Vogel, the Lakers struggled in key areas despite his championship pedigree. Darvin Ham brought some improvements, particularly in effort and energy, but the third-quarter problem remained. Now with the current coaching staff, adjustments and halftime strategies can temporarily mask issues, but the underlying personnel gaps still limit the team's ceiling. You can only mask so much before the lack of athleticism, defensive versatility, and consistent offensive execution becomes glaring. The Warriors' game highlights another crucial element. Elite teams know how to exploit these weaknesses. Golden State has built a culture around explosive third quarters, where halftime adjustments, spacing, and quick ball movement create momentum swings that can devastate even well-coached teams. They don't just rely on talent. They exploit mismatches and maintain a level of pace and execution that forces opponents to respond, often exposing any personnel deficiencies. For the Lakers, facing a team like this magnifies the importance of having not just skilled stars, but a roster capable of executing under pressure for a full 48 minutes. This brings us back to personnel considerations. Athleticism, versatility, defensive awareness, and depth are not optional. They're essential in the modern NBA. If a player lacks the speed to rotate on defense, the strength to hold position in the post, or the conditioning to sustain effort across all 4 quarters, no amount of coaching can fully compensate. Trades and roster adjustments are not just about acquiring talent. They're about addressing these structural weaknesses. Finding players who can contribute immediately in transition defense, perimeter coverage, and rebounding, while also maintaining offensive consistency, is key to turning games around and preventing recurring third-quarter collapses. In addition, the Lakers' defensive identity has often been inconsistent. There are games where the team looks elite in the first half, only to see gaps appear after halftime. Opponents recognize this and adjust, often targeting mismatches and exploiting the team's slower rotation and transition vulnerabilities. Without personnel capable of sustaining defensive intensity and executing rotations at the required speed, even the most brilliant in-game adjustments by coaches are often insufficient. This emphasizes the ongoing need for players who can execute both ends of the court with energy, intelligence, and athleticism, effectively bridging the gap between strategy and execution. At the same time, it's important to acknowledge that the team does have bright spots. When the Lakers stars are fully engaged, they can cover many deficiencies. LeBron James and Luka Doncic, for example, can compensate for some lapses in defense, create scoring opportunities, and keep the team competitive even when the supporting cast struggles. But relying solely on superstar brilliance is a temporary solution. Sustainable success requires complementary players who can absorb pressure, execute strategies, and contribute consistently across all 4 quarters. Without these additions, the cycle of third-quarter collapses and uneven performances is likely to continue, no matter how skilled the coaching staff may be. Ultimately, the Lakers' challenges are multi-layered. It's not just about coaching, not just about effort, and not just about strategy. It's about building a roster that can sustain performance, execute game plans, and respond to in-game adjustments at a high level. Until the team addresses these gaps through trades, player development, or smarter rotations, the third quarter will remain a recurring problem. Even with brilliant stars and experienced coaches, certain structural deficiencies will continue to manifest, particularly against teams designed to exploit them. Now, if we move beyond the structural issues and focus on potential solutions, the conversation inevitably turns to trades and roster adjustments. The Lakers are at a point where the coaching staff can only do so much to mask deficiencies, and the front office has a critical role to play. While stars like LeBron James and Luka Doncic can carry heavy loads and cover lapses in effort or execution, sustainable success requires the team to surround them with players who bring athleticism, defensive versatility, and consistent offensive contributions. Without addressing these gaps, any improvements on the court are likely to be temporary, merely hiding deeper problems that resurface under pressure, particularly in high-stakes playoff games. Looking ahead to the trade deadline, the Lakers need to identify players who can immediately impact both ends of the floor. The focus has to be on versatility and athleticism because these are areas where the team has struggled in recent seasons. Having a star-studded lineup is one thing, but if those stars are surrounded by role players who can't keep up in transition, defend the perimeter, or crash the boards effectively, it puts constant pressure on the stars and limits the team's ceiling. Finding players who can absorb defensive assignments, contribute on offense without over-reliance on the stars, and maintain energy throughout the game could fundamentally change how the Lakers perform, particularly in the third quarter where momentum swings have historically been devastating. Personnel changes aren't just about adding talent. They're about addressing systemic weaknesses. Teams like the Golden State Warriors, Milwaukee Bucks, and Miami Heat have shown that a deep, versatile roster is essential to consistently compete at the highest level. These teams can sustain defensive intensity, rotate effectively in transition, and make tactical adjustments mid-game without losing rhythm. The Lakers, on the other hand, have often struggled to maintain this level of cohesion, relying heavily on individual brilliance rather than a fully synergized roster. Even when coaching adjustments are made, the lack of personnel capable of executing those adjustments limits effectiveness. Trades that bring in multidimensional players who can contribute in multiple facets of the game could bridge that gap, providing depth and flexibility that is critical for a playoff run. In addition, trades can provide the Lakers with flexibility in rotations and matchups. Having versatile players allows the coaching staff to experiment with lineups that can adapt to various game situations, whether it's defending small ball lineups, countering elite shooters, or maintaining energy against teams that push the pace. Depth is not just about having bodies on the court. It's about having players who can perform under pressure, make smart decisions, and sustain effort across 48 minutes. This is where a trade or two could make a significant difference, offering the Lakers the tools to compete consistently and avoid the recurring third-quarter collapses that have plagued them. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the NBA rumor mill is buzzing with excitement tonight as whispers suggest that the Los Angeles Lakers are closing in on a blockbuster move that could reshape the league's future. Sources close to the situation claim that SOTTO, the towering Filipino phenomenon who has been turning heads across international basketball circuits, has reportedly agreed to a 4-year deal with the Lakers. While nothing is official yet, the buzz is enough to get fans, analysts, and social media alike speculating wildly about what this could mean for both the storied franchise and the young star's career trajectory. SOTTO, standing at an imposing 7'3", has been widely regarded as one of the most promising talents to emerge from Southeast Asia. Scouts have long marveled at his combination of size, mobility, and shooting touch, noting that he possesses a rare versatility that could make him an immediate contributor in the modern NBA. The Lakers, of course, are no strangers to big moves, and the idea of pairing the Filipino giant with their current roster has set the imagination of fans on fire. The team's front office has remained tight-lipped, but insiders hint that preliminary discussions have been productive, with SOTTO's camp reportedly impressed by the Lakers' vision and championship pedigree. Rumors suggest that SOTTO's potential signing isn't just about on-court performance. It's also a marketing bonanza. The NBA has been expanding its reach in Asia, and a player of SOTTO's profile joining a franchise of the Lakers' magnitude could generate unprecedented attention, sponsorship deals, and fan engagement. Fans in the Philippines have already begun flooding social media with posts, hashtags, and even memes celebrating the possibility of their hometown hero suiting up in purple and gold. Skeptics caution that the negotiations could still face hurdles. Contract specifics, roster flexibility, and long-term strategic fit are all factors that could delay or complicate the final agreement. Yet for now, the mere possibility of SOTTO embarking on a Lakers journey is enough to create an electrifying buzz in the basketball world. If true, this move could signal the beginning of a new era for both the Lakers and Filipino basketball fans dreaming of seeing their star compete on the NBA's biggest stage. Whether this deal will be officially confirmed in the coming days remains to be seen, but for now, the rumor itself has already taken flight, leaving fans across continents eagerly awaiting the next chapter in what could be one of the most intriguing storylines of the season. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.